The year was 2025, and a global pandemic had once again gripped the world, far more virulent than any before it. Governments scrambled to produce vaccines, and pharmaceutical companies worked around the clock. In a race against time, a consortium of labs across the globe managed to produce a vaccine that promised to be the panacea the world desperately needed. Millions lined up for their shots, eager to reclaim some semblance of normalcy. However, unbeknownst to the public and health officials, a catastrophic error occurred in one of the batches produced in a remote factory in Eastern Europe. A rogue scientist, driven by a twisted ideology, had contaminated the batch with a pathogen that turned the inoculated into something far worse than anyone could have imagined. The first signs of trouble emerged in a small town outside the factory, where reports of strange behavior began to surface. People who had received the vaccine started exhibiting aggressive tendencies, a voracious appetite, and an abnormal resilience to physical harm. It wasn't long before the afflicted began attacking others, spreading the pathogen through bites and scratches. The local authorities, unprepared and overwhelmed, tried to contain the situation, but the infection spread faster than anyone could anticipate. Panic set in as news of the outbreak reached the global stage, yet it was already too late. The contaminated batch had been distributed far and wide, and the infected were multiplying exponentially. As the world grappled with the rapidly escalating crisis, governments declared martial law and imposed curfews, but these measures proved futile against the relentless tide of the undead. Cities fell one by one, their streets echoing with cries of the living and the guttural growls of the infected. The survivors, those fortunate enough to remain unscathed, banded together, forming pockets of resistance. They scoured abandoned stores for supplies, fortified buildings into makeshift sanctuaries, and communicated via radio frequencies, sharing information and warnings about the hordes. Despite their efforts, hope was dwindling as the realization set in that this was not just an outbreak, but the beginning of a new dark age. In the midst of the chaos, scientists and researchers from around the world raced to develop a cure, working in secret underground labs and remote locations, away from the eyes of the undead. They pooled together resources and knowledge, hoping to find a solution before humanity was entirely consumed. Whispers of a potential antidote began to circulate among the survivors, a glimmer of hope in a world shrouded in despair. Yet, as days turned into weeks, the infected continued to roam, a grim reminder of the folly that had plunged mankind into a nightmare. The world had changed irreversibly, and the struggle for survival had only just begun.